Guru is with Acer at CES 2025. To my right, or Matt's left, if we have a quick look, you will see a dismal display of dark laptops because they contain RTX 50 graphics, and Acer is beholden to NVIDIA's NDA and is not even allowed to show the laptops running. This is desperately upsetting, but they have apparently had an NVIDIA rep here today just checking they're playing by the rules. Instead, we're going to show you some other things, starting with this prototype laptop, which has a completely different control system. And my man from Acer is now going to step in, so you're going to see some different hands, and he's going to clip the controller in place and out, because he's competent. I'm an idiot. So there goes the controller into place, and now it's a touchpad. It's a normal laptop. And then he's going to remove the system. Does it have a name?
Project DualPlay.
Project DualPlay, that makes... So this is called Project DualPlay, which makes perfect sense. And now he's going to unclip using the two buttons. Actually, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it now. There we have it. Look at that. He's only had to point this out to you about 4 times. And there we have the controller. So you can use it in the usual gaming style. And if you look, the cavity that it comes from would normally be filled with a chunk of battery. So clearly there is an impact to this idea. However, the principle seems very interesting, particularly in a larger laptop. I'm liking this. Whether we'll ever see it in true action, who knows? Let's put it back in. I think that's in place firmly. There we go. Project DualPlay, a prototype. As we go down the line of unhappy laptops that we cannot show in action, the thing here is RTX 50 graphics, mainly running on Intel processors. And the thing there is up to RTX 5090. But how does a laptop accommodate such a mighty GPU? The answer is they handicap the power. They'll be running around 160 watts. The processor will take about 90 watts. It's a lot of power, but look at the chassis as he tips it back. Plenty of scope for cooling. What we can see, however, is the RGBness, and we can see the WASD and the 4 arrows, and we can see here an accessory set. You'll be supplied with 8 alternate keycaps and mechanical switches for your gaming delight. But it is quite upsetting to see merely the RGB, but we can't see the laptop in action. And a similar principle here, again, the accessory set. Now, the thing is, whether the laptop is running 5090, 5080 or 5070 Ti will have an impact of something like £1,000 or euros on the pricing. The question of how much performance you'll get. So I'm holding my cheat to the Acer product specs. The question of how much extra performance you'll get from 5090 over 5080 when you're handicapping the power, that remains to be seen. My guess, and it's only a guess, is 5070 Ti will be the sweet spot. 5080, 5090 will be very expensive and will give you marginal improvements. But once again, only reviews will tell us for absolutely certain. A pair of updated Acer e-scooters. Matt had a play with these in Poland and was deeply impressed by how zippy they are. These have some front suspension, the tyres are now tubeless, and the indicators have been moved. So, for example, when you put the indicators on, people might actually be able to see where you're turning rather than crashing straight into you. There seems to be a bit of a grey area around the legality of these scooters in the UK. We understand the answer is they're being sold, or will be sold, for use on private land, which would rather make you wonder about the need for indicators in the first place. A line of laptops all running on AMD processors, and they're using... That one keeps going dark, slightly annoying. Yep. So from right to left, we have the SwiftGo 14 AI. It's running the latest AMD Ryzen AI 300 series, 1.3 kilos in weight. Next to that, the slightly bigger version, the 16-inch SwiftGo 16 AI is 1.5 kilos. And then we move from AMD to Intel. This is Intel Ultra 9 or up to... and it's Intel Evo edition, 1.3 kilos for the SwiftGo 14 and the SwiftGo 16. That video has frozen again. Let's see if we can just play that. You make a fair point, Matt. It's not on a loop. Someone's done that wrong. And there we have the SwiftGo 16 on Intel power, 1.5 kilos. The Acer Connect M6E is officially certified by Matt as a good product. It's a mobile hotspot, and the clever thing is, apart from using an eSIM, is it uses an eSIM. What's the provider? Simo. The eSIM from a company called Simo, which is a new one on me, switches from network to network depending on where you have the best signal. So if you're in the back of beyond, you might suddenly find your phone has no signal whatsoever. However, the Acer Connect M6E using the Simo eSIM may well have great connection. Matt was deeply impressed. Wi-Fi 7 dongle. A very chunky Wi-Fi 7 dongle. I asked why it's so chunky. My guess is it's packed full of antennae. I haven't had an answer. You put the dongle in its dock, and then you plug it in over Type-C. So Type A native and Type-C there. Two mini PCs, both called Revo Box AI. The processor is Intel Ultra 7 258V, running Intel Arc graphics, can be spec'd with up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, and up to 1 terabyte of M.2 storage, and I note up to Wi-Fi 7, so not necessarily Wi-Fi 7. We have a reasonable selection of USB, DisplayPort, HDMI, and 2 Ethernet. Don't be fooled by these ports at the bottom. Those are ventilation holes. I thought it was even more USB. But we have a reasonable selection of ports. And more on the front. But in fairness, you can probably see better with the white version when I take my thumb out of the way. Pricing was about £800, euros, dollars, which seems perfectly reasonable. The Aspire SAI, which looks like a monitor, but which is actually a PC. As I can demonstrate. Look, the stand has a power connection and it has ventilation. That's because that is the PC. Of all the products in the room, this is the one that has ended up surprising me the most, and I did not expect that. Running Intel Core Ultra 7, and it's full Copilot Plus, as you can see on the top right. And it has up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory and up to 1 terabyte of storage. In other words, the spec of it is very similar to the mini PC on the right. It's just all neatly tucked away inside the monitor stand. The Aspire 14 AI runs on Intel hardware, has an OLED panel, and is Copilot Plus, has 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, built down to a price. Off the top of my head it was £1,000, but please don't hold me to that because my memory may be faulty. Also, you get a variety of specs, up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, up to 2 terabytes of Gen 4 storage, and that will have quite an impact on price. And then we come to the Acer Aspire Vero 16. Now, we've seen this recycled laptops from Acer for a few years now, and the key selling point has been the use of recycled plastics. When they started, they were using about 30% recycled plastics. They're now up to 70%. The packaging is also, say, 100% recycled cardboard. However, this year, they're including 5% oyster shell material, which is why we have this unexpected display. Why would they put oyster shell material in the plastic of a laptop chassis? Well, the reason is that oyster shells are actually a waste product in Taiwan. They wash up on the shores. They have to get rid of the things. So this is what they're doing with it, or one of the many things they're doing with the material. And the result is that the texture of the top deck of the laptop versus the lid of the laptop is quite different. There's a definite difference in feel to the use of the oyster shell material, and it apparently has an antibacterial effect as well. 2 gaming handhelds. This is the Nitro Blaze 8 inches on the diagonal, powered by an AMD Ryzen 7 8840HS processor. I'll pick it up, and you can see the size of it. So similar in size to the MSI Claw 8 inches screen. However, here we have the Nitro Blaze 11, which at first glance is either spectacular or bizarre, because who's ever heard of basically a tablet with 2 gaming controller grips on the sides, which you can indeed remove. So you can unclip the controllers, put the tablet on its kickstand and then play your games. Price of the 11-inch is £1,100 US dollars. Price of the 8-inch is £900 US dollars. With a differential of a mere 200, I would have thought this will be the one that sells like hotcakes. Also interesting to note, running on this AMD Ryzen 7 8840HS processor rather than the newly announced Z processors, which are intended for handhelds, you have to wonder, did Acer slip up? They say, no, this was a deliberate decision. They wanted maximum performance, and that's why they went with the processor they chose. Both of these handhelds have about 2 hours of battery life. We skip down a line of Nitro laptops, the V17 AI powered by AMD AI 7350. You'll note there RTX 4050 graphics. You can be sure that in, say, 4 or 6 months' time, that's going to be updated to, say, 5050 graphics. Next to that, we have the Nitro V16, very similar specification, just physically smaller. And next to that, the Nitro V14 AI, 14 inches, same hardware. So, same hardware across the piece, different form factor of laptop, and the 14 certainly looks far more luggable to me. And we finish with the Spatiallabs monitor. Hopefully Matt's getting some lovely 3D imagery. Let me move the mouse a bit and see what happens. Okay, how's it even?
There we go.
Okay, moving the mouse around. This is doing it all entirely itself. I'm doing absolutely nothing. The monitor is larger than the previous version that we saw. This technology is apparently not going to make its way into laptops. As you can see, there's quite a significant bezel to the monitor. Price is around the £1,700, £1,800 euros dollars. So you're paying a fair price for this innovative technology. And also game support is entirely down to Spatiallabs adding support game by game. They told us something like 150 or 160 games are now supported, which is pretty impressive. But as we know, there are thousands of games out there, so check the compatibility list before you proceed. I like that. Not certain I'd buy it, but I certainly like it. And I'm signing off in front of the two new handhelds, the 8-inch and the 11-inch. I never expected to see a product like that, and I'm quite glad that I have. We're with Acer at CES 2025. It's kitguru.net on the web, and remember, we're on TikTok.